Hello, and hello to my radioactive rats, aka my subscribers. You know that show, Heartstopper? I love that show, but I hate the AroAce representation. In the show, there is a character named Isaac, and he is one of the main characters. Well, not even really, but he's part of the group that the main character is in, Charlie. That's his name. And he's one of the 4 best friends. And in the beginning, I liked Isaac, the character. Like, he was just a funny little side character that would just pop in, be reading books. But it started having me worried for his character because I wasn't even sure what his purpose is in the show. And before I even watched the show, I had found out that he was asexual. And then I eventually found out he was aromantic as well. He's an AroAce character. So because I'm AroAce and he is an AroAce character, I was like paying more attention to him. And because I was like, yes, another AroAce representation, I started to realize he doesn't really matter in that show. So I was like, why is he even in here? Basically, he was such a background character that it seemed like his character was pretty meaningless in the show because he just existed and then he would just pop in and out and be sitting at the table while all the other main characters talked, and he's just there existing, reading a book. But that didn't really bother me as much because I was like, okay, Isaac is just gonna be a little side character, whatever. But then season 2 came out and Isaac became more of a prominent character. So I was like, oh, okay. So he's gonna actually be in the show. I figured they would get more into his character in season 2, which they did, but I think they did it wrong. The writers. I hate it, okay? I hate the AroAce representation. I hate the character. I mean, I don't hate the character, but I hate how the writers written out his character and his plot. So like by the time season 2 came around, the show basically abandons Isaac and his friends abandon him. Like most of the time I will come around and I'll forget that Isaac even exists. And I'm like, oh crap, I forgot he's a character. But he's supposed to be one of the friends of the main character, like one of the few friends that he has, Charlie, one of the few friends Charlie has. And I think the reason why he's like basically abandoned in the show is because he's aromantic asexual. Like, I know the show is like mostly about like relationships and romance. Isaac was such an abandoned character that I was like over it, and when his potential love interest came, that guy who was also into reading books or whatever, I was like, yes, maybe finally the show will care about Isaac. But no, that was when he realized he was AroAce or asexual. I don't think they got to the aromantic part, but I looked up the character Isaac, to see if he's AroAce or if he's just asexual. From what I saw from the show, they only showed asexual stuff. And if they showed aromantic stuff, probably went over my head or just from the peripheral of my eye, I don't know. I was just so, like, there's like a couple of scenes where Isaac is like crying in public. Like there's one of them where he's crying literally in the middle of the hotel party that he was in with his friends, and he was just crying there and no one cared. Like, he was just crying all over the place, but where was his friends? Nowhere. His friends like basically forgot about him. And there was a moment in the show where he was like, you guys don't really care about my life unless it has romance or relationships or whatever. But he was angry. They never really talked about it. Like, we never really had a sat down moment where the friends were like, I'm so sorry, Isaac. We didn't really notice that we haven't really been spending time with you or noticing about the life changes you're going through or realizations of you being aromantic asexual. Like, we're so sorry for making our life so relationship obsessed. Like, no, I don't remember them doing that. Season 2, his personality is reading books. Why is he always reading books? Every fucking where he goes, even when it wouldn't even make sense or be comfortable. Like, there would be times he's reading a book in the dark or during a party. He did not get any attention from his friends. He just existed in the friend group. He was literally that friend that is just sitting there because they don't want to be alone, but their friends aren't really their friends. They just let him sit at the table. And then in season 2, I have felt like Isaac's character was just shoved into the show. Like they made up all this plot and whatever with the other characters, and then they was like, oh shit, we have Isaac, we need to just... Like a part of me feels like the Isaac character is just for the show to get like queer points and saying that they have an AroAce character, even though in the show the AroAce character is basically shoved to the side and none of their friends give a shit about them, and even the writers barely give a shit about Isaac. So it's like, I care about him, I care about Isaac. I was looking forward to having some representation, but his representation was barely even cared for. I mean, yeah, you could say Isaac's character is not really part of the show because he's aromantic asexual. Like the whole main point of the show is about romance and relationships, which is something Isaac is not interested in. Like if the writers cared enough about having Isaac part of the show, they would figure out a way to properly add him into the show to where he's important. His AroAce identity is actually seen and talked about and developed without it developing such a fast pace. The writers didn't really show enough that his friends care about him. They just let him cry on the dance floor. I can totally see Isaac being the character that kind of gives you a break from all the relationship and romance stuff in the show. Like you kind of just focus on his character and his development and his friendships with his friends, maybe even developing new friends, like actually developing a connection with Isaac. Because the whole time I just felt bad for him, even though there's not a lot of AroAce representation. Another reason why I'm so like pissed off, I'm not really pissed off, at Heartstopper with their AroAce character, because there's not a lot of characters that are both aromantic and asexual. There really isn't. I felt like they had a really good potential putting out an AroAce character that would be iconic for years to come. The AroAce people have a character to love. I was trying to think about what video to make, and because yeah, like I was just trying to figure out a less serious video, but I don't really know what to do. So definitely leave recommendations of what you want me to talk about or what you want me to do, and it could be about queer related topics or queer related movies or shows, or it could not be about queer stuff. And if you just want to hear me talk about certain subjects, whether it's serious or stupid, you know, two things that I love, especially stupid but also like serious, you know, they're both kind of sexy. You know, also leave recommendations of what stuff for me to do. Thanks for watching, and definitely leave a like and comment and subscribe. None of those 3 options are a choice, but goodbye.